Today, we're talking about building authentic community, the kind of connections that actually open doors, not just collect contacts or cards. I'm excited to bring on Monet from LetMeAskMonet.com. Monet is a career coach, business consultant, web developer, and digital marketing strategist who helps people leverage transferable skills, build brands that resonate, and create systems that support real career and business growth. She's also deeply committed to helping Black women embrace their strengths, navigate transitions, and, of course, thrive. And she brings a refreshingly real perspective on what it takes to build community with both strategy and integrity. So, before every episode of this Thrive series, I love to leave you with a reflection question that you can answer and consistently think about as you listen to the episode. So, here is the reflection question for today's episode. When you think about the community you're building right now, especially as we head off into 2026, are you showing up as a pollinator? That's someone who's adding value, trust, and consistency? Or are you showing up as a drop-in visitor and only reaching out when you need something? What's one small shift you can make this week to make sure that you show up more like a bee? So that's that pollinator versus a fly. That's that drop-in visitor who only reaches out when they need something. As you listen to our episode today, the bee versus fly analogy will make so much more sense. I'm so excited for you to listen to it today. Let me know what you think after the interview. Today, we are here with Monet, and we will be talking about community. I look at community like networking, but networking has a very negative emotion attached to it nowadays.
Yeah.
So instead of saying networking, I say community, but essentially we're talking about how to build strong connections so that you can get into spaces and get places that you say you would like to go. So I'm going to stop talking. And I'm going to share the stage, and I will let you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your journey and background in the space that you're in.
Absolutely. So I always tell people, like, where do I start? But I've tried to, condense it down to something that is something that will be able to be easily felt and understood to a lot of people, because I have such a vast background of a variety of different things. Like, I've been everything from the Easter Bunny to, a brand ambassador in a grocery store handing out samples. So very wide background. I'm really passionate about helping individuals and organizations reach their full potential through tailored solutions that really drive career growth and business success. As a career coach, I've empowered job seekers to leverage their transferable skills, pivot into new roles, and achieve their goals with confidence. And I also consult on streamlining operations and designing systems and building brands that really resonate with today's market. I'm especially dedicated to inspiring Black women to make sure that they're embracing their strengths, navigating transitions, and thrive in their personal and professional lives.
Yeah, I love it. We need people like you who are multi-hyphenate and can speak to different spaces, because a lot of
Yep.
times people don't know where to start with what they have. But if they go to people who's been in those spaces and know about a bunch of different spaces, then it helps them a little bit.
Absolutely.
But can we talk a little bit about maybe how you stumbled into some of these things? Like, who were those support systems or guides that opened your eyes to all of the things that were possible that you wanted to do?
Great question. So I definitely would say that this isn't a life that I chose. This life definitely chose me because I have just been afforded the opportunity and really privileged, I would say, to have a diverse background. I do admire those people who just found out what they wanted to do from a young age and just done that all the way through. But there is something to say when you have, those different backgrounds and different experiences that you can use to give a different perspective. And that is how I really came into, doing all these things, just saying yes, putting myself out there. There was one moment where I lost my job. I was working at Apple right around the pandemic time, like 2019, 2020. And I was on that magic list of people that were going to be let go. And around that time when I was let go from there, I was like, I don't just want to be sitting around unemployed. Like, what could I do to keep my skills fresh, keep my brain fresh, and just do something that I love? And I ended up signing up for a web development boot camp via Udemy. So again, I don't know why I decided to choose the web development, and I ended up loving it. I ended up loving not only learning how to teach myself new concepts, because when you're in school, you're taught that everyone learns the same way, but taking that time to figure out and learn how I learn helped me thrive in these different spaces. So now that I was taking the web development boot camp, I realized that I loved coding, loved websites, loved designing things. And that's something that just comes natural to me. I'm a natural born creative that enjoys having the opportunity to just be creative. And I saw the different similarities between web design and then also designing clothes, because I do design clothes. And during the pandemic, I started my own pre-tied head wrap business, like the one I'm wearing right now. It's pre-tied, no wrapping or anything required. So I was just like, all these different creative outlets, whether it's tech or whether it's sitting down on my sewing machine and doing what I love, there's these different opportunities to take advantage of being creative and just like pivoting in these different areas. And I've used that comparison to land different roles during interviews, just like showcasing that and giving a different perspective. That was something that really set me apart from the different candidates that were out there too. So I would just say, figure out what you love doing. That will be the very first thing. And then trying to monetize it. And then that's like the key to life. Figure out what you love doing and then getting paid to do it is perfect.
Yeah, that makes sense. But what about finding people who believe in you? So tell me about like those clients or a mentor, someone
Yeah.
like that's where the community piece comes
Hmm.
in. 'Cause, like someone has to, I hate saying like people have to give you a shot, but someone believes in you enough to
Hmm.
support you at whatever stage you're in your journey. So
Yeah.
where do you find those people?
Well, you definitely have to start out with believing in yourself first. Like if you're not believing in yourself, you're not investing in yourself, then how can you convince someone else or sell someone else on you? And then in addition to that, you have to be your own main character. You don't wait until the point where, someone recognizes you or you start to gain traction. That starts, everyone that we know now that's famous has started somewhere in a room where they had no clue who that person was, but they kept going. They kept putting themselves out there. They kept like something as simple as, if you're trying to land a new role right now, do you have a presence on LinkedIn? Especially LinkedIn is a great tool to use and grow your audience. You should be documenting your experiences. And I made sure when I was going through the web development boot camp, like, hey, look what I designed today. Even if it was something beginner and something I'm like, who cares that I made a timer that can, tell you when your toast is ready? It was just something random, but you're putting yourself out there and letting people know what you do. And then there'll be those people that gravitate towards you. And then you also have to step outside of your front door and go outside and meet and network with these individuals. But most importantly, I would just encourage conversation, because you never know who you meet by just saying hi. And if you have a problem with communication, just start off with something small, like even in your local grocery store, just speak to the person standing next to you. Oh, you're about to pick up the same item. What do you plan on making with it? That's what I was trying to figure out. What do I do? And you never know what those connections could introduce, because every time I go on an interview, I ask that person, how did they get to where they are? And every single person was like, it's someone I knew. And I'm just sitting there like, that's the key. You have to know someone that knows someone, and you'll be afforded the opportunity to be notified of that job before it even drops on, the standard job board on LinkedIn. So definitely put yourself out there and have those conversations. And something else that I enjoy doing is listening to a lot of podcasts about people who have built communities or who have, developed a network that they can leverage. And one of the biggest things that you need to realize and do is to grow your network before you need them. Because if you already have your network and they're built out, when you put out something interesting or you're thinking about putting out something interesting, you could test it with them. Be like, hey, I'm thinking of putting this thing out. What do you all think about it? And, move forward from there.
I I like to do this workshop I call Nepo Baby Energy.
Mhm.
And I have a theory that we're all Nepo babies. We're just like
Yes,
using our networks and the people that we
exactly.
already know in the right
Mhm.
ways.
Mhm.
And of course, not everyone has like a famous, like not everyone's a famous Nepo baby, but everyone's like an everyday regular Nepo baby.
Yes, you have potential.
Yes, we all have social capital already. We just have
Mhm.
to learn how to use it. I do
Mhm.
love the point that you made about interviews. When you're on an interview, you actually ask people how they got to where they are. And that's a hack because, like, instead of
Yes.
setting up random coffee chats, you already have a person on the phone and you can just like learn a little bit more about their background. Because when they,
Yes.
if you have any questions for me, they like mean it.
Exactly. And a lot of people are like, oh, no, I don't have any questions. My number one question, if I don't have anything else, is how did you get to where you are? And 9 times out of 10, like 9.5 times out of 10, it's always like one story I heard from this lady. She was like, oh, well, I was at this Super Bowl party and, this guy that my husband worked with, he was telling me that they were hiring and, he knew my background. I was like, what?
A
Like,
Super Bowl party. But
thank
yeah, that's how
you.
it happens. Like
Yeah,
people
exactly.
people default to asking you like, "So what are you up to? What are you working
Mm-hmm.
on?" Because
Yep.
it's like safe small talk almost. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a hack. Yeah. So I love that. I love
For
that.
sure. Mhm.
Um, so what about someone who might be feeling like isolated a little bit? Where's a good place for them to start if they're nervous about showing up online, they're nervous about stepping foot outside of their house?
Mm.
Who can they tap into?
I love that question. If you're kind of shy, I would say to, put yourself out there. You can always leverage AI. One thing that you can do or take a step back is you can put yourself out there without putting your face out there. That is how the internet came to be. People enjoyed the fact that they could be behind the screen. You don't have to turn your camera on and you can just sleuth pretty much on the internet and be whoever you want to be. And then on top of that, if you did want to have some type of face out there, you can create your own AI generated image avatar that would literally represent you. And then I would just, reach out to various communities. You can leverage so many different Slack communities on Facebook, and just Google, what communities are interested in this, these niche communities that you're really looking for that have those similar interests as you. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to get out of your own way, because now is not the time to be shy or be humble or, say, I really don't want to. You have to do it anyway, do it afraid, do it scared. And there's literally so many people that are coming after you, and the youth that come after you are waiting for you to step into your true self, do what you have to do, and then they can come up and, build off of what you've built. So don't be afraid. You're going to have to do it anyway. And you don't want to, be older, 70, 80 years old later. And you're just like, dang, I wish I would have done that. Or watching someone else live out your dream. You just have to put yourself out there and you have to do it afraid.
Yes, and then there are like AI voice things too.
Yes, exactly. You can
You
use
can like
voice changer.
oh,
Before that, it was voice changers. You can utilize that. So
yes.
do whatever
There's
you
so
want.
much. I think yeah, people there are like faceless accounts. People will break down other people's journeys and
Yep.
that blows them up.
Yes.
There are a bunch of podcasts I listen to where they just talk about the things they're interested in, and
Yes.
they have
The
paid
faceless YouTubes. Yep.
yes, they
The
just
faceless YouTubes are literally, they are changing the game. There's literally no face ever. There's just flashes of photos and they're just talking in the background. You can always tell it's AI generated
mhm.
because of how they're pronouncing some things. You're like, that's not how that's pronounced. So they're obviously using it. But hey, they're making money. So it's working.
Exactly, exactly. But that's a storytelling skill. So now
Mhm.
you have to it's like no escape. You always have to work on some type of skill.
Exactly.
So like even if you wanted to
Mhm.
garner a community around your faceless product, you still have
Mhm.
to learn about the storytelling, the hooks, the different tools you have to use. So like
Exactly.
learning will always be a part of the process. There's no easy way to build community.
Yep.
I'd love to talk about the highs and the lows. We've been talking about the highs.
Yes.
Can we talk a little bit about some of the setbacks you might have had? So maybe not connecting with the right people, or maybe you connected with the right people, but it didn't turn out the way you wanted it to. Tell us a little bit. I always say the L's. Tell us a little bit about the L's.
I mean, it's like, where can I start?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to, you don't never want to name drop or,
Yeah.
use people fodder for conversation or anything. But at the end of the day, I have had a lot of setbacks. One of them I talked about at the very beginning was getting let go from Apple. That was very disheartening. No one enjoys being fired from a job, but I was so excited and felt so much privilege being able to work from Apple. And that was something that I used to, empower myself into the next thing and of course there was a transition period of me figuring out like, who am I? What do I want to do? What do I want to be? When people look at me, how do I want them to feel? What do I want them to say? And what do I want to give off? So there was that transition period. It was a lot of people who will, come into your life and help catapult you to a certain degree, but then you also give them the power to reduce you and, again, let you go or, spread rumors about you, if you will, and talk bad about you and be like, oh, well, this person really didn't work out here. So, they're probably not going to work out there. But at the end of the day, I have control over my destiny. And, like they say, once God says yes, can't nobody else say no. So even though, you may go through those lows and those L's, and there was even a point in my life where I even started to go blind in one of my eyes. And that was one of the hardest things that I've ever had to deal with. And I try and tell people that all the time. And, my husband being there to help me along that journey was something that I really appreciated. I don't know how I would have been able to transition out of that because we were trying to figure out why I was starting to go blind in my eye. And my doctor was saying that people usually don't come back from this type of thing and, it'll be something permanent and you'll just have to go to physical therapy. And they literally had me in physical therapy looking at a dot on the wall and like going like this over and over again. And I was just like, what am I going to do? Like, is this going to help anything? And like, that had to be one of the lowest points in my life because I was seeing double. But yes, like, you don't realize how much your eyes are so important. Like, my depth of field was off. I couldn't just pour a cup of juice. I had to actually like focus and make sure that I was seeing that there was, juice going in the cup and it wasn't going over that. So now that I'm recovered and got healthy, we figured out what the issue was and my vision started to come back. And you always seek other opinions, that was something that was very important and impactful to do, not just sitting there and just being told by that one doctor, hey, you're just gonna have to go to physical therapy. And when we went to the physical therapy place, he was like, well, your recovery depends on how much you can afford, pretty much. So if you can afford to come here 3 times a month versus someone who can come here every week, then, your recovery is going to be different. And like, that was a gut punch as well. But I was like, no, this can't be it. I went, sought other advice and, I found a nice doctor that skilled doctor who was able to, use all of his experience to help me transition back into having my 20/20 vision in both of my eyes. And now when I go to the doctor, they're just so impressed. She's just like, wow, I can't believe that, you've come back from this. You're not having any issues. I mean, most people don't ever come back from it. So that was one of the lowest times in my life. But like I said, it's all about there's been moments in my life where I've just had to retreat back into myself and reset and figure out, what could I do differently this time around, or what can I do to change this? Am I going to sit here? Am I going to accept this? I s- and I just remember how my older brother was. He's passed away now, but my older brother was someone who always taught me like, don't take anything lying down. Like, figure out how you can make something different. Take hold of it. This is your destiny. Do what you want to do. If you do fall, rain, figure it out. Prepare for the next time, and in that way, the next time that it shows up, you're already trained. You already know how to do it. And he would have me watching like Karate Kid or something late night. And he would be like, look, you see how they went over there? You saw how he had to sweep that leg? And it's just like, okay, all right, we got it. So that's always what I come back into, retreat inside yourself, go back to the ground roots. What's your foundation? What is your mission? What are your morals? And, coming out of that, a transformed person, a different person, and just making sure that I can share that story with as many people as possible. And that's always my end goal. Like, do I want to sit down here in the darkest depths ever that I've ever experienced? Or do I want to have a story to tell? And that's really what keeps me going sometimes too.
I love that you mentioned having a story to tell because I feel like a lot of people don't. They're like, "Oh, what makes me special?" But I'm like, "Oh,
Everything.
we don't always win in life. Everything, all the L's that we take,
Yeah.
I call them canon events. Like,
Yep.
like if you're a DC person or a Marvel person, you know that the
Mm-hmm.
hero always goes through something really, really horrible before they become the hero. Everyday people are just like that. We all go through really, really horrible things. We all go through really, really great things, but the horrible
Yep.
things is our character building. And that's a piece of our story. So I love that you
Yep.
said that. I want to talk about when you are building that community, it becomes really, really easy for some people to take more than they give.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? What's that tug and pull? Someone recently said be more of a bee and less of a fly. I
Yes.
love that because I'm like, can I pollinate and be lovely to
Mm-hmm.
and not just like every time you need something, you're just like, oh, this person again.
Yeah. Yes. Those are facts. And I would say this is something that I'm still working on in therapy is definitely setting boundaries. You have to learn how to set boundaries because like a lot of people, I give a lot. I love hard. So it's easy for me to give a lot. And I'm an empath at heart. So I can feel when someone's struggling. I know I can come in there really quickly, help them out with something. But I also have to protect my mental health as well and make sure that I'm putting myself first. So I try to make sure that I'm always checking in with myself first. Will this take away from me? And then also setting that standard and having the conversation in advance and being like, hey, if I do this for you, I'm going to expect that, the next time that I need you for something, minor or major, that I'll be reimbursed in some form. And this has happened recently where I'm building this community of people. I'm doing things for free, like the Offer Ready talent series that I started, showcasing talent in this horrible job market right now that are offer ready, that you literally don't need to go through the process of interviewing them 6 times and having them do a take home assessment, all this extra stuff. I've already vetted them, and they are ready for their offer. You can have another conversation with them after you watch our mini interview that we do together, because I sit down, we do a mini interview just like this. I put it on our YouTube page, and then I publish a one page and it shows all their accolades. What are their hidden skills? What are their superpowers? What are their accomplishments? And, pretty much create like a little brag page about them. And that was one of the things I'm working on. Like I said, I'm doing this for free. I'm not asking them for any type of compensation, but I do expect for those employers to leverage that and take advantage of that and not just be like, oh, okay, well, I know I watched their mini series, but I still want to send them down for this 20 round interview process. And it's really just unacceptable at the end of the day. And that is one of the ways that I have tried to give back. But, setting those boundaries and then, letting people know, hey, I'm going to expect, this and that after you. And most of the time you have something in the back of your mind that you're thinking already that you want them to help you out with. So go ahead and say that, like, hey, I'll create this logo for you, but I do have this event that I'm throwing and I would love for you to, be a speaker or the keynote speaker there. And even though they would usually charge, like thousands of dollars for a speaking engagement or something like that, I'd usually charge thousands of dollars for the logo. So I think that's an even exchange right there. So that's something that you can do. Just be prepared with having something else that, you need that person to work on, and set boundaries. No is definitely a full sentence. Okay. Nothing else needs to come after that.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you brought up bartering. Like, I feel like
Yep.
we're in the day and age where we need to bring that back a little bit. Like, not everyone
Mhm.
will have the funds right away to pay you for whatever service you're offering.
Yep.
I myself am trying to figure that out a little bit. Like, I don't always have the mental capacity to be like, all right, I need all of these things. Let's barter. So now
Mhm.
I'm like, I need to sit down, make like a little AI agent or something that's like, can you afford the prices? If not, what are you doing? What's your service? Let's have
Exactly.
my AI tool barter with them before I
Mhm.
see it.
Yeah, pretty
That's
much.
a good
And
idea.
definitely, what I was about to say, yes, Devana and Cedric had the
Yes.
AI building bot
Yes.
class. That would definitely be something interesting to add in there. Like, hey, can you afford this price? Someone asks that question. No. Well, here are the things that I'm working on. Which one would you like to take off my plate?
Exact.
Boom.
Let me tell you. Look, I'm gonna give them some ideas because yes, I need that. I'm like, I'm running a mile a minute, and I'm like,
Hmm.
I need services that people can check off if you
Yep.
cannot pay. I love it.
Exactly.
I love that. I love that. Okay, okay. But on the flip side, how do you make sure that you're not taking advantage of other people? Because it's like a
That
give
is a
and take
good
type thing.
that is a good point. I would say looking at that person and seeing, what like the comparison between the logo and the speaking engagement. If that person has a monetary element to it, like they would usually get, $2,000 for a speaking engagement, then the thing that you're asking them to do should be around that same price point. Don't do the whole friends and family thing. Friends and family asking to buy your stuff and they're like, oh, well, so gonna get me out the way, right? Because I'm, a friend or a family member. And I always tell them, listen, I'm going to give you the friends and family discount and I actually add 20% because you should want to support me more because you're a friend or family member. So I just try and, making sure to be fair. I never want, and being an empath too, I really can't take advantage of people because that'll keep me up at night. But just making sure that I am thinking about how much they would usually charge for this type of service or what they would usually produce for this item and then moving forward with that because I don't want to get into the habit of taking advantage of people even though I know if eventually I want to be a billionaire. How people say what billionaires have to do to get there. But I think there's always like an ethical at your core. You have to have some ethics, you have to have some morals, and just stay aligned with those items. And you can still get to that billionaire and trillionaire status if you stay within your morals and making sure that you can sleep at night. Because some of the stuff I see people doing, I'm like, and even the stuff that you see people do to you and approach you asking for all types of things or ask you to do things for free and not even mentioning, any type of compensation. There has to be a barter there. You all can both profit from it and take advantage of. Because at the end of the day, even with something as simple as being like, hey, come do this fashion show. At some point, exchange not getting paid for the fashion show and the monetary gain or the gain from it or the thing that you're taking away from it is being able to get your name out there, get your brand out there in front of people that you never would have had the opportunity to is a great exchange for someone that is up and coming versus someone who is already established and is used to, getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for the gowns that they create. Now you approaching them with that is kind of like, no. Okay, I already got my name out there. I already have, this and that celebrity wearing my things. I don't need brand recognition anymore. So what else can you do? So
Yeah. I always
that's what it's
think
going
about
along.
Yes, I always think about, like, punching in your weight class. So, like,
Mhm.
you either punch at your weight class or below
Mhm.
your weight class, but you can't be
Mhm.
punching above your weight class if you're not
Exactly.
ready to be there. So, yes,
Yes,
that's
and
a
people will try it. You gotta keep your guard up because people will definitely try it.
yeah. You definitely gotta vet. See, this is where having help comes in too. You gotta vet the things that are coming your way. And if you don't
Exactly.
have time, an assistant, a chat GPT agent,
Mm,
something needs to be a buffer between you and saying yes to opportunities. So yeah,
yep.
I'm with you there.
Perfect.
Can you talk to me a little bit about where you see the future of community building going? Because, like, right now, a lot of people are monetizing their communities, and I'm like,
Mhm.
Yes, you want to monetize if there's like resources and opportunities that are coming out of that, but like not everybody wants to be in a community that they have to pay for. So
Yes.
like what are your predictions on like where community might be headed in the future?
I love that question. I would say the first thing, I mean, AI everything, of course. So there's going to be some AI generated communities. But something I thought was interesting recently that I saw Facebook now Meta come up with is the metaverse. So you're actually is in this virtual reality environment where you can actually see people and, kind of like Sims, but IRL. And I think that's just so cool that you'll be able to like go to people's houses virtually. You'll be able to like visit people's stores virtually. I think that would be the the next step in the evolution of building community. You'll be able to be online and be like, hey, I'm opening up a store in Japan, but it's all virtually. You're not physically there, but it's done virtually. And I think that would be a cool concept to introduce when it comes to community for sure.
Yeah, okay, I have two things I want to mention on that. I remember when what's that like what is it? Swedish furniture store. Why can't I think of the
Oh,
name?
IKEA?
Yes, IKEA
Mm-hmm.
was hiring people to
Mm-hmm.
work in their virtual store.
Mm-hmm.
They used it as a way for people to like test out different jobs that they could
Mm-hmm.
actually have in their stores. And I was
Yep.
like, "Ooh, this is so cool." I
Exactly.
love it for like the training purposes. So like you don't have to
Mm-hmm.
train on the job and mess up on the job. And I was like, oh my gosh, where are we going?
Yep.
And then my mom is really big on VR. So she has her VR glasses. And the
Mm-hmm.
first time I wore them, I was walking around and I went to some kind of like movie theater and
Mm.
the person was talking to me. I was like,
Yes.
you hear me? They were like, yes. And they like waved their hand. I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
This is cool and creepy all at the same time. You're like, because I would have never imagined we'd get to
Yeah.
this point, but here
Yeah.
we are. So I'm excited to see what happens because I watch a lot of, well, my husband introduced me to Star Trek, so I'm a Trekkie at heart. And the one thing that they have that we have not come up with is
Yeah.
the holodeck. And it is the most realistic thing ever. Like you can literally, like, say you wanted to go to a spa today, but you wanted to go to a spa in like Paris or something. You can literally program the holodeck to be that spa in Paris and you're there being like touched by the people. You could
I
actually,
know.
you're
I
drinking
know.
things, you're eating things, you're literally there. And it's so realistic. It's hyper realistic. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if I'm ready for that.
Exactly.
Everybody just go to Paris. I don't want fake Paris. I want real
Yes.
Paris.
Right. But some people, well, I was about to say they probably gonna put a paywall on it once they develop it. But I'm like, maybe some
Oh,
people can only go virtually and only afford to
that's
go
true.
virtually. But they're gonna charge up for sure.
That's true.
It's all about finding that balance at the end of the day. You try to figure out what can my free offerings be where, like you said, people aren't taking advantage. But I also want to give back and you funnel the free offerings into the paid versions for those who are able to afford it. And, that's how you have that balance there. Give people the option.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about who your internet mentors are or your internet community. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
have the people that I can like reach out to and they know me and we're like community members and we're friends.
Yes.
But then I also have like mentors. I basically tapped into their networks. They don't know me at all. But
Mm-hmm.
like I'm chatting with people in the chat who also follow that like internet mentor. So like
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about like maybe the internet communities you're a part of that like follow the like people that you might be interested in. And then where do you go to meet those like one-to-one connections of people you can like actually message on LinkedIn or text or something like that?
I would say LinkedIn. I have been using LinkedIn more the last few years than ever because it's helped me find those different communities. You can leverage the search bar, hashtag, whatever niche item that you're looking for or topic that you're looking for. and you'll find people that are aligned with that. They'll be like expert in this or expert in that. And those are the people that I start to follow. But like you said, then I start digging deeper and I'm like, okay, well, who are they connected to? And then you're like, oh my goodness, we're connected to the same people.
Uh-huh.
And then, it starts to get deeper and deeper. And then you also find people IRL, like, landed interviews, and we hit it off so well during the interview. I mean, I didn't get the role, but I'm not going to be one of those people like, well, you didn't hire me, so, we're going to remove connection. Always, always make sure to tell them like, hey, let's stay connected. If anything does come down the pipeline, definitely let me know. And I'll do the same with you, because the times that I have interviewed with people, and the next thing you know, they are leaving the company after you have just joined the company.
Yeah.
And so you never know when people are going to be transitioning out. So you want to stay connected with people no matter what. Get in the habit of networking with people, even though that one time it probably wasn't advantageous for you. You didn't see anything from it. You didn't get hired at that position, but stay linked and connected. And then most recently, one of my favorite people has been someone that I'm working with, and he has been a great mentor. 4 or 5 different business ideas that I've thought about, he's already done them, and he is like, I've been looking for someone to mentor. So and that came from a job interview as well. We were talking about where he wanted to grow his business to, and I was providing him some consulting. And then once he started telling me more about all these different business ventures, I was like, oh yeah, we're going to have to connect. We're going to have to link up. We're going to have to, be connections on LinkedIn. And then he started to tell me about all these different business ventures, and we've been working together ever since. I'm learning so much. I actually have a master class that I'm working with him on that I'll be going to after this. So it's been very fun and very exciting. But yeah, LinkedIn has definitely helped me leverage all those different communities online. And then, just Googling some different communities that are out there, like Black in Tech, Latinas in Tech. There's a lot of different communities and groups. There's a lot of Slack communities that I am a part of, like Higher Black. You'll find people that are great to connect with. As you know, Devana, she's the queen of connections. So she's been connecting me with a lot of great people, and you never know where that connection is going to lead, because my one connection with Devana has led me to meet you, has led me to meet hundreds of other people, because she's always connecting me with someone. And I met Devana by just seeing that she just showed up in my news feed one day. I can't remember the chicken or the egg, like whether I followed her first or, she just happened to show up as a suggestion. But I was like, hey, do you want to connect? And we chatted. And then after that, our relationship just took off from there. So you never know what a simple chat could turn into. And just leverage all of those connections that you make and keep them near and dear to your heart, because you just never know.
Is there a certain number that a new connector, like someone who's new to networking, if they wanted to push themselves, how many people should they aim to have coffee chats with or connect with in a week, maybe?
That's a great question. I would say minimum 1, max out at whatever you can do. Some people have more time than others, but at minimum, try and make at least 1 connection per week. If you are looking to, use AI in that process, there are several different bots that you can use if you want to, do something that techie, where it will search certain parameters and filters that you put into LinkedIn, and it will help you connect with those people a lot quicker and a lot faster.
Do you want to tell us what these bots are?
Yeah, absolutely. One that I love the most, and I'll be adding this to my website, because I want to create a page on my website that's like a little tool bag and toolkit. And remember how you were telling me all the different tools that you use?
I need to put it on my website too.
Yes, and we need to be affiliates of this, of the companies, and like sharing our links. So that way, that's another way we're offering something for free. But, if they want to transition to that paid version, they definitely can. The one that I love is Dripify. That is something that has helped me leverage so many different connections, so many different partnerships and lead generation. It is great with that. And depending on, if you have a paid version on LinkedIn or not, that would determine how many connections you can make in a week, like how many messages and how many connections you can send out. They have the different tiers. It's the paywall again.
Yes.
But, LinkedIn does have a free version. And with the free version, you'll just have to, do like a minimum. I think it's like 5 to 10 connections per week or messages. So that's a tool that I love and that's helped me recently.
Yes, send me that link or come back to the chat and drop it in the comment section. Look, I need to get on it. I have not been using automation like I need to, but it's like a game changer. I think everyone can use it. And then wait, once you do get connected, be genuine now. Do some research for these people.
Exactly.
Don't just be random out here.
And I can't take full credit for that. That was introduced to me by a coworker.
Okay.
And another tip that I would give people is always be curious, because the person that I was working with that introduced me to that, he was saying I had recently just sold a multi-million-dollar business, and I've grown to this point, and here are my sales from last year. And I was just like, I leaned in. I'm like, tell me more. So how did you start? What is going on? And when he showed me that his brother actually has a drop shipping business that is ran by 3 AI bots. And exactly. And I said, what? And he was like, yeah, my brother, he's like making several $1,000,000 a year with these 3 AI bots. And I was just like, tell me more, teach me.
Look, I need to
let me know.
I need to unravel because I need some AI agents on my team.
And they do it all the time. You would be surprised how many people you end up connecting with on LinkedIn are really an AI bot. You never know. And you introduced me to Bordy too. That was amazing.
Bordy is great. Have you had your Bordy coffee chats yet?
Yes, I've had so many, and I want to develop a Bordy.
Yeah,
because Bordy literally raised, I can't remember how many millions of dollars that they raised recently, but he did that all on his own with like training him, and very impressive. Very impressive.
It's really cool. I think if everyone had their own Bordy, it could massively impact the trajectory of their lives and their careers and help them reach their goals way faster. Because it's not
automation and AI is key.
Yes, it's not tying your time down. Like I don't individually have to reach out to all these people, and like my little agent can be calling around on my behalf.
Thank you. Exactly. And that's exactly what one of the tips that the guy that I was telling you about, where he was talking about, he had the AI bots. They were sales professionals. They were going out doing the work of 3 normal salespeople, advanced salespeople. And that is just amazing. You're just sitting there making money in your sleep, as it's supposed to be.
I may need to connect with you after and figure out, like, I will pay someone to develop my sales AI agents, because it's a headache.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay. But lovely. Thank you so much for your time. I hope everyone
thank
you. Got some tidbits. I think we dropped some good gems. We got tools in there.
Everywhere.
Yes. So this was lovely. Once again, this was a Thrive Now session. I want everyone to go out and be great. Start connecting with community. Don't look at it as networking. Just look at it as being curious, having a conversation, meeting new people. You don't expect anything to come from it. Just be genuine. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Yes. Everyone go out and thrive. Thanks for tuning in to this Thrive Now session with Monet. If something in today's conversation sparked a new idea or gave you a next step, don't keep it to yourself. Drop it in the comments so we can build this community out loud. If you're listening on audio, rate the show and leave a quick review, please. It genuinely helps more people find these conversations. And last but not least, drop your dream in the dream database. Big dream, small dream, I'm not sure yet dream. It doesn't matter. Put it in there anyway. Let's make your next move more visible. Until next time, keep thriving.